Hi, I'm Chris Clough, producer of The Red Dahlia, and welcome to the behind the scenes. And interestingly, here we have the memorabilia of the Black Dahlia upon which our story is based. It's a copycat killing of a real case which happened in 1947 when a young girl was cut in half and completely mutilated. It's a very gruesome sort of story, and the killer was never caught, unlike in our story when we nab him. First day of the shoot, 15th of June 2009, and we're in Kensal Rise. This is the scene where we discover the body which has been left by a skate park. Quite a difficult scene to do in that we had to shoot the skateboarders doing their stuff, and also we had to have the body. It's also rather odd to shoot the beginning of the show at the beginning of the shoot, and indeed this is the opening scenes of the show which we're shooting on the first day, and it's the scene where Travis and Baroli come to meet DCI Morgan on the discovery of the body.
I've never seen anything like it.
Well, let's just examine the body,
No, I don't
shall
want
we?
you going in there. The less contamination, the better.
Unfortunately for the art department, the body takes about 6 weeks to build from start to finish, and this was only about 2 weeks into the build, therefore it was nowhere near finished. And the art department on the day had to sort of place it. It's the first time they'd seen it as well, so that had to be placed, dressed, sprayed down with paint, bits hidden with bits of grass, and generally everyone had to sort of come to do a bit of first aid on the model of the body, which, when we got to it at the end of the show, obviously was absolutely perfect. When you're making a show about someone who's been murdered, you do need to bring the personality of the person who's been murdered to the forefront. It's not that we can ever get to know them as a character and then they're murdered halfway through the show. The show is about the discovery of the body and who has committed the crime. Therefore, by a very clever use of flashbacks, we do get to know quite a bit about Louise Pennell, and we're able to illustrate her life and what a difficult life it was and what a sad life it was. And down in Margate, which was a very useful exercise for us because it gave us sort of different landscape to the show, some sort of wider aspects of the seaside, and also the atmosphere of this miserable house that Louise's grandmother lived in, and the background from which she was sort of born and brought up.
I'm Nigel Willoughby, DOP.
I'm Cherry Gould, the first assistant director. We've been in an old lady's house, Mrs. Pennell's house.
Who is Louise Pennell's grandmother, Louise Pennell being the girl that was found murdered. We're shooting some scenes where Travis visits Mrs. Pennell. They got the lead from a book, a library book, found in Sharon Bilkins' flat. And Travis has been sent down to interview the grandmother.
And we're just about to shoot 2 flashbacks.
Of Louise as a younger woman when she came earlier to visit her grandmother and got rejected, and she's sitting at a cafe. She's at quite a low ebb in her life, and it's before she goes back up to London.
So the Margate section of the story is very useful because it shows to the audience the background story of Louise Pennell and what a hard life she had. The fact that she went down to see her grandmother, who lives in this sort of strange old house with a housekeeper who turned her back on her and wouldn't offer her any help. And really, this is the story of a young girl on her own, trying to make the best out of life, who's lured into the spider's web of the murderer and suffers the unfortunate consequences.
Is this Mrs. Pennell's house?
Yes.
I'm Louise. I'm her granddaughter.
I'm sorry?
My name's Louise Pennell. I want to see my grandma.
I'm sorry, you can't see her.
No, I just want to talk to her. It'll be like 5 minutes. I just need to talk to her quickly. She'll listen to me.
I'm very sorry, I can't.
But can you go and get her?
No, I'm sorry, I can't let you in.
And it is Kieran Hines' first day on set. Having been resting for a good 9 months, he's been dying to get back to his role. And here he is. What's your character called?
Langton.
Langton?
James of that ilk.
Yeah. Known to as Jimmy to his mates?
Jimmy to his mates.
Jimmy?
Of which there are very few and far between, I have to
He's
say.
pissed off most of the met
yeah,
in his time.
Yeah, he's-
Travis is obviously too young to sort of have seen the bad side.
Bad
of
side of him. Yeah, and he's not that social really.
him. No, he's a lone drinker, isn't he? He's sort
He's a
of
lone drinker, a thinker,
yeah.
a midnight
Divorced
blinker, a midnight
twice?
blinker. Beg your pardon?
Divorced once, twice.
Divorced twice. No, lost. No, divorced once.
Was it
And
his
lost
fault?
Lost his first wife.
Lost his first, which is very sad.
And has kind
Yeah.
of a string of affairs, hardly infallibly, but
But he's
because
he's
it's
an
married
emotion.
to
He's
the
got
work.
yeah. He
married to the work.
wears his heart on his sleeve,
Yeah. And is absolutely devoid of any humour, sadly.
but straight. He's the sort of copper
Ish.
you'd want to meet
Yeah.
on the corner of a street at 4 in the morning, and
Yeah.
We're here today to film a suicide scene in a bathroom. It's a young lady who suffers from depression, a lot of emotional problems, and things have come a bit on top, and she goes into a bath and she slits her wrist in an attempt to commit suicide. There's a young actress who's performing in this scene, so it's quite a delicate scene. Only certain people will be allowed on set, and I won't be one of them, but prior to the scene being shot, I'll help with putting the blood about to make it look like some of the scenes I saw when I was working, where people committed suicide by cutting their wrists or their throat. She is fully clothed. The reason behind that is that most people who commit suicide, strangely enough, do it fully clothed, particularly women. Strange as it may seem, the thought is that it's sort of preservation of dignity in its own sort of ironic way.
Oh, God, no, 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 help me.
we're in the Daily Telegraph, who very kindly let us in to shoot on their newsroom, which is fantastic really, because it's a very rare treat to be able to sort of get into a proper working environment, especially newsroom, because otherwise we couldn't recreate sort of the scale of it really. This is a scene where Travis is coming round to meet Richard Reynolds, who's the journalist on the Telegraph, who's been contacted by the Red Dahlia killer.
We get a shed load of crank letters every time we lead with a murder story.
Thanks. But what did this one say?
Something about how the case of the Black Dahlia was never
Wait,
solved.
hang on, the black what?
Dahlia.
Design is a very important factor in this, and especially with the new HD cameras, you have to have the right colour cast, because the cameras work best with a certain range of colours. So Ian Fisher and Nigel Willoughby work very closely together to get good sympathetic colours into the sets and also into the location.
My name's Ian Fisher and I'm the production designer. The police station that we're sat in originated as a hospital and was given to me to turn into a police incident room and police corridors. So we've tried to use as many of the elements that were here originally. There was an office up to the left-hand side of this room, which we took away from a solid wall and have made the fourth wall so that it becomes much more like a glass box and we're able to shoot through it. We've added small elements of interior screens so that you can track past and shoot through that. And then, as any police station, we've dressed it as busy as we can with lots of computers and lots of the latest technology.
Now this is our big investment in the show, which is the police incident room, where I think we're in here for about 10 days altogether. So a lot of design work. You can see it's all dressed, and we've put in temporary offices for Langton, painted all the walls, blacked at the top. Most of the lighting is coming in from the top windows, so we can do 360-degree sweeps around the floor. And we're shooting with Steadicam today, so it's quite a big day for us today. All the background characters have come in as well, so it's the first time we've got the whole police team linked together.
This is the extraordinary talented Linda LaPlante, who has written yet another extraordinary crime drama and has had the nerve to ask me to be in it.
It is a nerve because I did try everybody else and nobody was available. And the only person I could get was Kieran Hayes. You know, I really wanted somebody very tall, but I've got this short
person who's not tall at all. The other thing is, I actually turned it down 5 times, and I was in the 6th time. Having been her last choice, I had the nerve to turn them down.
5 times. And I said to him, look, we do have a number of actors very eager to play this part.
It's not true.
I know
You said you tried and everybody else said no. And then you finally came to me. And then my bluff was to say, well, I'm not doing it either. And
he did.
Then they went to other people, they
and
wouldn't
I said,
do
but
it.
they're not going to do any more room.
And I said,
Thank
I said, well, in that case, well, yeah, please, may I? So then here I am.
But everybody's in love with him, you see.
Everybody, the janitor,
Janitors,
the parky.
ITV. They think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Hi, my name's Andy Bradford and I'm working as a stunt coordinator for this episode of Above Suspicion. The scene requires an actor, Wickenham, playing the part of Wickenham, the baddie, to actually get a policeman to come across. He's handcuffed, he's got to get out of the situation in the hall. So he's seated and we've got a police officer comes across. The police officer asked him to hand him the tray of finished meal, food, and Wickenham thinks maybe the only way is to let the tray drop. The policeman goes for the food dropping, gets the tray, wipes it across his face, picks up, we hope, the soft cudgel and whacks it down. So that's what we're going for.
Bang! Okay, great. Yeah.
I think it's almost better. Okay, fine. Because I was only thinking, that's good, because then you let the tray go as you hit, and then your movement is still together with hands, match there and it's strike across there. Very quick, brief, fast action. Got to be realistic, we're seeing it from two cameras. We've cast a stunt performer, Matt De Silva, to take the wallop.
Take this, will you?
Hand it to me, sir.
And again.
No joking, stop.
What a good joke.
Today we're in the lab. Our victim's handbag was suspected by the murderer to the newspaper office. Belongings from it have been sent up to the lab and they've already been sort of examined and now they're laid out because the detectives involved in the case want to come and have a look at them and the scientist is going to describe the work that they've done on each item. What we've done is we've sort of used real police bags and I've tried to package them as we would have packaged stuff in a real case. The reason being is packaging is of paramount importance because if you don't do it properly, the defence can always allege that items have been contaminated and they'll argue the continuity and you want to be able to show complete continuity of where an exhibit's gone, when it's gone, how it was packaged and everything so that you don't get challenges like that in court because if you do you could end up losing a case over something that should have been done at the outset. We've tried to set up a fingerprint examination chamber and what they do is they do different treatments, chemical treatments to try and bring up fingerprints, super glue, anhydrant, things like that. And so we've tried to mock it as best as possible to the real thing. We've decorated the lab with test tubes that might be used for taking DNA samples. Taken some fibre lifts. This is the way we would take fibre lifts from the bags so that they could be examined for fibres. There's a good chance that your suspect's handled something, not only his fingerprints, but he might have wiped it down, but what he might do is he might leave some fibres from himself on items that can help you to connect a criminal to a crime.
This is it's a cellar set. It's actually an old boiler room which we've put some old stairs in, which are supposed to replicate a location that we have with a church, and the idea is the characters come down and discover this dungeon space. So they'll come down those stairs through this area and into this area here, which is supposed to be the operating area of this particular character. It's where he actually cuts up one of his victims. So what we've done here is we've recreated or created a diary, or his diary of what's going on with the Red Dahlia, how it relates back to the Black Dahlia, the case in 1947. So it's a series of operating equipment. The character is a surgeon, and the idea is that he brings the victim down here and then actually cuts the body in two down here. So what we had to do here was obviously research the original case. We've got photographs from the original case in 47, and then we combined those with photographs of our own for the Red Dahlia case. And this is a sort of a collection, a culmination for two. And this obviously is his operating area over here. The idea being that this is where he cut up his victim, and obviously rather like a mortuary, washes the blood away, and yeah.
This is our ready-made family. Proud father. What are we going to do? We can't leave her here. We're going to have to take her home. Yeah. We'll call you Langton.
What we're doing today is the exterior of the church, where they're digging up the drains. This is where they find the first clues that sort of net Charles Wickenham, our murderer. It's quite a big day for us. We've got two units out, a load of SOCO and police extras and things like that. And it's one of those itsy bitsy days with lots of little small scenes, lots of people in them, quite a lot of action.
So what we're here for today is we're in the around the chapel at Dorney Court. We have permission now to dig up the place, find out what has been going on. The chapel's over there. We're digging up the drains to see if there's any evidence of anything that's been going on. And in a moment, Paul Baroli is going to lead us into the chapel, where he's found something that may reveal a hidden wall in which we may be find something ghastly.
Hello, my name's Catherine and I'm the makeup and hair designer on Above Suspicion 2009. This is Becky. She's also in the makeup department.
I am.
And we've had a busy day today. We've had the body of Sharon Bilkin, who was one of the victims of Charles Wickenham. She's been found in the field today by the main police team, namely Travis, Langton, Lewis and Baroli. We've had a body double out today for the lying down in the mud scenes. So what we had to do makeup-wise was to make sure that she looked exactly the same as our actress playing Sharon Bilkin. So the same cuts and bruises, same hair colour, same body colour, and that in itself is quite a tricky job. We've also been shooting in the rain, which affects the makeup. But I think it looked pretty good in the end. Sharon Bilkin, just before she's murdered, says, it's quite a key point in the script, says to Travis, I'm going to get my nails done today. Next time we see her, and the reason that Travis knows that it's Sharon Bilkin is that she has freshly manicured nails, and they're like French manicure. So that was an important part, and though it might seem a bit silly that you've got this person lying in the mud, covered in blood and cuts and bruises, and then you've got perfect nails, it was quite an important element of the makeup.
I'm having my nails done this morning.
It's Sharon Bilkin.
So here we are at this is the scene of crime where the second body is found, and what we have here is we're setting up for a shot of the body being dumped in the field, and we're actually currently rigging a wheel spin. What we've got to do is to actually dig a trench which we'll fill with mud and water, and what the guys are working on at the moment is lifting the 4x4 up off the ground so that the wheels will spin and give us the effect that we're after. So that's what they're rigging at the moment.
Okay, we're on the last setup of the show, and of course it's the most complicated one, which is the disposal of Sharon Bilkin's body. We have about another half hour to do it in, otherwise we're going to humongous overtime and there's no money left to pay it. So we're keeping our fingers crossed and working very hard, and hoping that we get it all in on time.
And action. That's a wrap.